o'clock. Ms. Colbert, can we get roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here. That is quorum. We're going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll have the students of Franklin D. Roosevelt assist us with this. If everyone could stand and put your right hand over your heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll be moving to the approval of the agenda. If there are no questions or no comments,
Move that we approve the agenda.
I second.
we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving to special presentations. Today we have the Franklin Roosevelt School 8th grade students here along with Principal Higgins. They will be sharing their recent outdoor education trip with Nature Bridge to Yosemite National Park, including the learning and teamwork that has resulted.
Oh, we have our own? Oh, this is nice. We don't have to say next slide. Okay, just press the arrow button. Okay, thank you for letting us present tonight about our week-long 8th grade trip this past January to Nature Bridge School in Yosemite. 3 years ago, our 8th graders at the time were 2 weeks away from being the first FDR class to attend this trip. Then COVID shut down the world. Our next 8th grade class spent much of their year in distance learning. Last year, our 8th grade class was still dealing with much of the effects of COVID. This year, our current 8th grade class was set to go. Then a massive snowstorm hit Yosemite in mid-January. A representative from our bus company that was to take us to Yosemite called me the night before we were set to leave. He had reservations about taking us to Yosemite. I talked to him and eventually spoke to their CEO, who finally approved the trip. So tonight, so we finally went, and it was an amazing culminating event, which our students will talk about. And tonight we have 3 of our students to share with you our trip.
Hi, my name is Orion Manawis. The first thing that all of us noticed was there was snow everywhere. A few of our classmates had never seen snow before, and it was really beautiful. Our home for a week in Yosemite was Curry Village. It's usually filled with tourists, but there was a big snowstorm that closed much of the park to everyone except students attending Nature Bridge. When we first arrived, our Nature Bridge teachers went over our rules for the week. Some of the rules were: don't go into other people's cabins, walk with a friend to the bathroom, and don't be late for a meal or a hike. Then we took our luggage to our tent cabins. In the cabins, they had hardwood floors with canvas walls and roofs. Thankfully, there were heaters in each cabin because it was freezing. We had to store our toiletries and snacks outside our cabin in bear boxes. Bears have a really good sense of smell and have been known to break into cabins and cars in Curry Village to eat what it was inside. Each cabin had metal boxes outside that bears couldn't get into. Curry Village has a big dining hall for dinner and breakfast. Mr. Higgins promised us that there was going to be a huge selection of food to choose from. Without tourists, though, it was pretty limited. Still, I thought the food was pretty good. The best thing that I thought we had for dinner was the rice and pork. There were pancakes and eggs for breakfast. Curry Village also had a store where we could buy snacks and souvenirs. For lunch, we ate outside where we were hiking.
Hi, my name is Emma O'Shea. On our first night in Yosemite, we hiked in the dark to a big auditorium. Unfortunately, my group walked a little too far and we ended up in a cemetery, which we named the Yo Cemetery. Eventually, we found our way. In the auditorium, they gave a presentation. They taught us about the Native Americans who used to live in Yosemite. When the Native Americans first arrived in the valley, they named it Awani, which means gaping mouth-like place. We also learned about wildlife. There are foxes, deer, mountain lions, squirrels, raccoons, and bears. During our time there, no one really saw any animals due to the snow and cold weather. One time we were hiking and saw a few different animal tracks in the snow. Our educators taught us how different animals have specific ways of walking and different footprints. We used some of this knowledge to help us try and figure out what kind of animals made these prints. During the day, we were split into 2 different hiking groups. First, we all introduced ourselves and played fun team-building games. Later, we got to play in the snow. We built snowmen, had fun snowball fights, and made a few snow angels here and there. We could not believe how much snow there was. Every step we took, we were knee-deep in snow. One group was blindfolded and did a trust walk with their class. Their educator led them to a narrow path between 2 granite rocks. This used to be one big rock, but it was split in half by frozen water. One highlight for most of us was seeing Yosemite Falls. It was truly amazing. It's one of the highest waterfalls in North America. They also have museums in Yosemite where we learned a lot about its history. A giant glacier carved out Yosemite Valley. The Native Americans who lived there mostly made their homes with tree bark. It became a national park in 1890. In the early 1900s, President Teddy Roosevelt camped at the park and loved it very much. He was the uncle of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Our teacher also taught us how to bandage our ankles in case we sprained them. We grouped up into teams and tried to follow the steps to wrap it ourselves. It was fun to learn all these new things, and it was an overall great experience.
Hi, my name is Chloe Guevara. On our last full day in Yosemite, my group hiked to Mirror Lake. It's called Mirror Lake because you can see a clear reflection of Half Dome in the water, but it was so frozen it looks like a fogged up mirror. It was fun to throw snowballs into the lake and make small holes all over it. Some of us thought that Half Dome was carved in half by a glacier, but in fact it formed naturally that way. After our lunch, we made models of Yosemite Valley in the snow based on what we learned during the week. One group found icicles to use as waterfalls. We also did a team-building activity about the history of Yosemite. In small groups, we had to place our cards in order and then put them in chronological order with the whole group. The glacier that created Yosemite Valley happened thousands of years ago. The last night in Yosemite was a lot of fun. We performed skits based on something we learned during the week. The 2 groups competed against each other in a sing-off. Mr. Higgins couldn't believe that everyone was actually singing in front of everyone. We thanked our Nature Bridge teachers, our chaperones, Mr. Higgins, Mr. Lau, Ms. Bodwell, and Ivan, and our friends for making this trip so fun. Mr. Higgins kept telling us all week that this was the most beautiful scenery ever, that the snow made it a winter wonderland. All of us agreed that it was beautiful. We'll remember the beauty. We'll remember the fun times with good friends. I hope all future FDR students have memorable experiences like we had. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I'll open up for questions or comments from fellow board trustees, and I'm going to start on my right.
I'll just first say thank you, Principal Higgins. Thank you, students. That was a great presentation. Must have been so memorable, so beautiful. Just seeing the photos that you shared. I guess a question for anyone: what was the most surprising thing that you found about the week?
In the morning, I saw like animal footprints going to the bathroom.
In one of the team building activities, we learned that so the valley so erosion affected the valley so much that it's like it was a big thing like this, but then it used to be really flat like that all the way really high up. And I just can't believe that it used to be, that big, and then now we're just all the way down here.
I think one fun thing that I remember learning is that there's this little animal called like a pika, and they like every time someone sees them, they're always like carrying like a bouquet of like grass and flowers in their mouths, because I think they're like building like their homes, and I think it's cute because it reminds me of like Pikachu from Pokemon.
Okay, thank you. I've been to Yosemite a few times, but every time that I went, it was in the summertime. So I just wanted to find out, how was it being there during the winter time?
It was very cold. Like extremely cold. Like on the last day, I learned that it was like 19 degrees. So that was, I didn't know it was that cold. And then, so afterwards, this was like after we left, we learned that there was so much snow that piled up. There was like, they had to shut down the whole park because it was like 15 feet or something. And that was, wow.
Okay, so, did you want, yeah, go ahead. You had something to
It's also really fun because there's snow and it's like fluffy, and it's fun to play with and throw snowballs at people.
Yeah, my question was going to be how many snowballs did you hit people with, but I was kidding. My actual question was, so I just got back from Upton in October. I chaperoned my school's trip, and I was actually going to ask, what was your favorite activity, the nature activities you did? Because, they have a bunch of them. I'm wondering what your favorite one that you learned the most from.
There was this one activity, I think it was like at nighttime. We were in like a circle, and one of us, or there's two of us in the circle, and one was blindfolded, and we were basically learning about how bats track their prey, and they track their prey through echolocation, which we tried to like simulate during the game. It was kind of like Marco Polo. Yeah, it was really fun.
Are there any additional comments or questions?
I'll just say again, thank you for the presentation. I feel really fortunate. My two kids are at FDR, and maybe we'll get to participate in this some year. But I think these are like some of the most unforgettable experiences that you'll have in school. And I was fortunate enough to do some outdoor ed as a student, and will just absolutely never forget it. So I'm really inspired hearing what you all took away from the week, and just thanks so much again for your presentation.
Trust me, it's also unforgettable as an adult too.
I just wanted to say, excuse me, I appreciate the fact that you all got to learn tracking skills, excuse me, and then also cultural awareness about indigenous folks. And you also talked about learning a little bit about first aid. And so it sounds like you had a very full agenda and schedule. You had a lot of fun, but a lot of learning at the same time.
And so I would echo my fellow board trustees. Really great job on your presentation. And I just am really glad that you guys were able to do and build some life skills, being that it's your last year in our district. We're just so proud to have you, and really look forward to seeing what you're going to do in the future. And with that, we do have some certificates for you, and I'll have my fellow board trustees assist me with this. And so when we call your name, please step up and receive your certificate.
Okay, certificate of appreciation for Emma O'Shea.
Certificate of appreciation for Chloe Guevara.
And certificate of appreciation for Orion Manawis.
Thank you again, and thank you, Mr. Higgins, as well. Go ahead. Do one last round of applause. All right, we're moving on to communications, board member acknowledgements and commendations. And this time I'm going to start on my left.
I have none at this time, actually.
Just one more time to commend the staff and the students, chaperones, all the people that were involved in the Yosemite trip.
Okay, well, since the last board meeting, I had the opportunity to go to MH Tobias School, and I read to the third graders there at what I thought was National Reading Week. The students informed me it's actually National Reading Month, kicked off by Dr. Seuss's birthday. So I want to thank Principal Karen Hong and the teachers Jennifer Kwong, Melanie Suidra for welcoming me into the class. I really enjoyed reading to both of their third grade classrooms and discussing the books with them. And I want to congratulate MH Tobias on conducting their Adventures in Reading Challenge. And I understand that they had friendly competition, logs going on. So congratulations to them and all the schools who participated in National Reading Month this month. And I also got to attend 2 events at FDR in my capacity as a parent, a fun run and STEM night. And the fun run, it was just great seeing students out there jogging, walking around. I know the PTA did some good fundraising, and I wanted to just thank the FDR PTA and all PTAs in the schools in our district for everything that they are doing for our schools. And the STEM night last night was really awesome. We had towers being built, rockets flying in the air, and I thought we'd have a really low turnout because of the bad weather, but not at all. It was pretty packed, and so it was really successful. I know the first event that we've had like this since the pandemic. So thanks to all the schools who are doing enrichment activities like this, especially around STEM, which is just so important. Thank you.
I would like to echo my fellow board trustee, Trustee Rashba. I actually also attended MHT actually this past Friday, and I got to read to the first graders. And it's been a long time since I've been in a first grade classroom, and so it was really awesome to see, young minds just wanting to learn and to listen. And in honor of National Reading Month, I also read a Dr. Seuss book. So I didn't even know that it was in honor of Dr. Seuss. So now I'm like, I picked the right book. But it was really interesting how the children were like telling me their renditions of the story, and it gave me hope for what our future is going to be. And so I was really grateful to Principal Hong and Ms. McDermott for allowing me to be on campus and in their classrooms. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to commend Superintendent Vidales and Mr. Hagan. I know we had a power outage this morning at Westlake School, and ensuring to keep our students on campus, knowing that parents and guardians still have to go to work and still have to do their day-to-day, ensuring that the students were still safe, able to go to classroom. I really wanted to just commend you guys for making sure that that continued, and obviously ensuring to communicate to the parents when power came back on and all of those things. So again, thank you, Mr. Hagan and Superintendent Vidales. And now we're going to be moving to superintendent comments.
Yeah, so we have had quite a bit of weather in the last couple of weeks. Lost more trees across our schools, power outages. We've been fortunate that we've only had one power outage that has lasted until the school opening. As you mentioned, we did have power outage at Westlake this morning, and I just want to commend, the different district departments who worked as early as 4:30 in the morning to try to make sure that the school was ready to be opened. Our maintenance department making sure that the phone systems were plugged into the generator. Our technology department making sure that the wireless infrastructure was working as best it could with the little power that they had. Our food service department making sure that we have food that could be served that didn't need warming. So it definitely took a village, and that was just one school. I cannot imagine what the school districts up and down the peninsula who had multiple schools out how they were able to pull it off. But we did it, and I'm so thankful the power came back on by 9:30, so not even an hour of school before the power returned. So we were very fortunate in that respect. It does take a village, and, Mr. Hagan and I, just yesterday, were reflecting on the 3-year anniversary of the closure of schools. We didn't close our schools. The health department closed our schools. We both believe very strongly that the role of a school in the community is to provide a safe space for students so that families can feel secure and know that their children are well taken care of. And so, we promised each other that we would not close schools unless it was unsafe. And, I assured starting last night, Mr. Lauro, Mr. Heath, and I are in conversations making sure that the schools would be safe and that we can feed our students. And we opened school and stopped by this morning, and everything was calm. So, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Vidales. Now we're moving to general functions, and we'll be doing the consent agenda. The administration recommends approval of the starred items on the rest of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
You have a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That was unanimous. We will be moving on to item 7C, a resolution number 230322 to excuse Manufo Liaiga Anuai from regular board meetings March 8th and 22nd of this year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor? Oh, actually, this is a roll call. Ms. Kovarek, would you assist us with this?
Aye.
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 Aye. That is unanimous. We'll be moving to item 7D, Master Service Agreement between the Jefferson Elementary School District and Educational Housing Corporation. This agreement serves to set down the particulars of the arrangement between the district and the Educational Housing Corporation concerning the services provided by each to the other and the compensation paid for such services. This is a requirement of the 501c3 status for the Educational Housing Corporation. and was approved by the EHC on March 7th, 2023 at their monthly board meeting. The administration recommends approval of the master service agreement between the district and Educational Housing Corporation to fill requirements of 501c3 status. Ms. McKillick, actually, apologize. Could you please introduce this item? Sure. Come up. Thank you.
Good evening. So Mr. Vidalis is passing along a timeline for you that is available on the Education Housing website that can be found on our district website. We have a few extra copies if people are interested. I thought it might be helpful for you to see what we've gone through with the Education Housing Corporation, since this is new to everybody. And so this was established back in August and September. And so you can just see the timeline of some of the activities that have occurred so that have led up to this point of this agenda item. You also gave direction on the board of the Education Housing Corporation, which is a nonprofit, to help us with our workforce housing that is currently under construction. And then we also asked you to approve some bylaws as well as a resolution for the board members that were appointed, and also a conflict of interest policy for those board members to make sure that they had good intentions on the board. So what you're seeing tonight is another step in the process, and this is a master service agreement between the board of the Education and Housing Corporation and the Jefferson Elementary School District Board. And this agreement is really to show what the responsibilities are in how the two boards will be working together. Mainly that the Education Housing Board is focused on the management of the property, and your responsibilities are to that oversight of the audits of how the finances, and also to make it very clear that the school district does own the property. That's really important in there. This is a 5-year agreement, but can be changed at any time in written form by any board, the Education Housing Board or the school board. So coming up, so that's our next step that we are bringing to you tonight. The Education Housing Board signed this and agreed to it, approved it at their meeting in March. And our next meeting in April with the Education Housing Board, we're going to be hopefully finalizing eligibility criteria for staff to move into the housing project. And we will be bringing that to you at the following meeting after that, which would be, I believe, May 10th. And then also a property management agreement. So the Education Housing Corporation wants to go into agreement with Boulevard, I believe, Boulevard Residential, to help with the day-to-day pieces, the leasing agreements and all of that, because the board is really the oversight piece. And so we'll be bringing that to you once the Education Housing Corporation has a chance to review it and approve it. So we're hoping those will be ready for the May 10th meeting, but if the board needs more time, we will bring it to a later meeting. So that's kind of what's coming up and where we are at this point. So tonight we're recommending approval of the master service agreement, which is our working agreement between the two boards. Any questions on that?
Are there any questions from fellow trustees?
Just want to say thank you for this very helpful overview.
Yep.
I had 2 questions, and I can't find where my first question came from, but I read something in here where it said that the district is, our board, this housing board is independent from this board. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering, is that the right word to use, independent?
I think what it means by independent is that it can function on its own. It's not reliant on the board to give direction. You help us approve, you help the board approve, but they are an independent entity. They are their own 501c3. So I think that's what it means by that separation. It's not a subcommittee of the board.
In reality, we're mostly codependent. And
That's why, I don't want to
but
get
I
into
think
semantics.
for
but-
purposes of 501c3, they need to be an independent, self-operating board,
So do you
even
think-
though most of their decisions are also approved by you.
Yes, this language was added in conjunction with our attorneys that we're working with informing of the 501c3.
So
And
do you
then-
think it should mention 501c3 then in that section?
It's mentioned in the recitals at the beginning in number
Right.
1, so it's already assumed in the rest of it.
And then we also have one of us as a member each.
Yeah, I understand all of that. It's just, to me, it sounds, it doesn't sound all the way correct to say independent. So that's why I just put it out as a question.
We can inquire with county council on that language and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. And I didn't mean to make it a gotcha moment or anything like that. It's just, I was reading it again and it came up. And then the other question I had was about, let's see, general operations, letter H. So it says that the corporation shall develop a program that supports tenants of the residential development in their quest for home ownership. So I just wanted to know, have you already been talking about that, or is that something that is down the line?
Well, it's a shall develop, so it's in the future. But it is a goal of the workforce housing that we support our employees to build up enough savings to be able to make the next move. Now, whether that's home ownership, we don't know. It seems like home prices are rising faster than people can save. So, but it could certainly set up employees to be able to move into market rate rental spaces at the end of their term in our development.
So the reason why I'm asking about this is because I believe when we started this project, I may have been the only board member at that time that's on the board now. And that was one of the questions that came up was, were we, going to have a way for our employees to become homeowners? So I just want to make sure that when that conversation starts, that we have a lot of discussion about it and maybe even some study sessions, because I know there's a lot of models that we could follow, but I think we should be leaning on the side of supporting that as much as we can. And even if that means somehow the teachers could get some of the money back that they've already put into their rent, so I know that's somewhere down the line, like you said, but I really believe that this board should have a lot of discussion about that.
And I think a lot of your questions will be answered once that board approves their eligibility criteria. I think a lot of your questions will be answered once that's approved.
So I have a couple questions. You had mentioned that we would have oversight over like their audits or review of their audits. Is that going to be separate from the audits that we do, like two presentations at different times from an audit standpoint? And have we determined if we're going to use the same auditor, or what does that look like?
Currently, as it stands, the only revenues that we're expected to receive are donations to the 501c3. Essentially, what's going to be happening is the rents will be paying for the property management, and then we would be working the rents that are paid through payroll deductions because they are our employees, but then they would be going into a separate fund within the county office or our own coffers. So, we're not really expecting any financial pieces really to stem from the 501c3. It's more of just a property management standpoint so that, the tenants of said workforce housing project would be able to voice concerns or have meetings to go over, any issues that are going on, and those could be mitigated and set aside from the goals here for this board that is just focusing on the education of our students.
Thank you. And then some of my questions now relate back to some of my fellow board trustees' questions, so if we are going to consult with council around the language, is there any issue with waiting to approve this? Because if not, if we approve this, then it's going to have the language and we're moving forward with maybe still some concerns. Is there a deadline to get this approved to even start the next steps?
What
does
I
that
was
look like?
going to ask for clarification from county council on the terminology of independent, but if you're not comfortable with the board, the Education Housing Board did approve this, so we would need to bring it back to them after consultation with county council. So you have a choice of approving as is, and then we can give you clarification on that, or you cannot approve it and ask us to go back to the board, the Education Housing Board.
So Trustee Ellie, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever we decide tonight.
Okay. And then my last question is in relation to another question that Trustee Ali asked, which is getting the study groups and to understand, how we would ensure that our, staff are able to hopefully purchase a home later on down the line. Would that even be under us to I guess, do we have jurisdiction over that, or would that be the housing board that would really be in charge of doing that?
It would be the housing board, and you do have a representative from the school board on that. So if someone is a strong opinion on that, they might want to be part of that subcommittee or the housing board in the future.
And I guess this is more of a comment, I guess, for fellow board trustees, because Trustee Sujisaka, you're on the housing board, correct? And so I guess, would you be willing to come back and work with the rest of the board on that and just keep us abreast as it goes on? Just because obviously that means that it's going to be a whole year before we could even change committees, and I just want to make sure that Trustee Ali is comfortable with what's happening. Yeah. Perfect. Those are all the questions that I have. Are there any other questions from fellow trustees or comments? Thank you, Ms. McCulloch, for your presentation. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve and or table until the next time, depending on how we feel about the language that's currently written in the agreement. Not all at once.
I would make a motion to approve the agreement.
I second.
There is a first and a second, and seeing that there may be some people on our board that may not agree all the way, I think it might be best we do a roll call for this. Is that okay, Superintendent Vidalis? Perfect. Ms. Kovarik, would you assist us with this?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. That was unanimous. We are going to be moving on to item 8D. This is the 2023 JESD Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, STEM. Mr. Burke, the STEM Fair facilitator and vice principal at Fernando Rivera, will give a presentation on and acknowledge the participants and winners in the San Mateo County STEM Fair.
I believe there's a presentation with this. There we go. Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here. And I want to just give you an informational session about the STEM fair that we held in the district per the schools that participated. And then they went on to the county, and we have a few students here who did very well in the county fair. So first, This is the overview. The STEM fair was held virtually. This has happened for the last few years, primarily due to COVID. It's one of the reasons why we didn't have a physical STEM fair, is because with the digital presentations, it made it kind of logistically impossible to have one in person. But of the 8 schools, the 5 elementary schools, George Washington, JFK, MP Brown, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, and the 3 middle schools, Thomas R. Policita, Ben Franklin, and Fernando Rivera, we had about 60 to 70 different digital presentations from those schools. And they are in 2 categories: engineering, so they designed something and tested it. And then there was experimental, which is the majority of these. And the projects were started in early February. We've been working on this as a district since November. And tonight, I wanted to also explain the awards that we did, because we proposed this and created it so that many different individuals, students, could win an award. So it started at the school site, and they had their own individual school site awards, where the teachers would vote on the coordinators from the school sites would vote on them, and then they were provided either a first, second, or third place ribbon. And then those who came from the school site were provided to us, or to me at the district office, and then all of us from across the district, the coordinators from every school, independently voted on them. I tallied them up, and we selected 16 participants to the county fair. And at the county fair, they were voted on by a group of judges, and they actually had 4 special judges, and we have an award tonight for one of our students who won a special award. But I felt that this way we can have the most participants, the most amount of students who could get acknowledged. And it seemed very equitable to do it in this manner. I wanted to have the students read some of them so you have an understanding in their own words of what it was like to create their hypothesis, to test it, and then to provide it to us at the district. Oh, it can? Okay.
District science fair. My name is Barbara Denise, and I'm part of the team. Our hypothesis is that water would slow down the breakdown of food in stomach. Our procedure was that we would put protein card and 4 drops of acidic acid in a test tube. We would then progressively add more water to the tube and then for 4 hours. The result was that the more water we put in, the longer it would dissolve. The project would let the water to affect the digestion of food.
Hello, thank you for joining me. What is your name?
My name is Marta.
Yeah, Marta, tell us, what is the hypothesis of your science project?
A burning piece of napkin can keep its flame and toss and twin bottom in a hand-formed egg-facing road prevent from the bottom and some because the combustion inside a closed space is vacuum prevent from the bottom airtight.
Okay, and please share with us what were the results of your experiment?
Since the bed inside the bottom can more combustion needed so that the hard-boiled egg could duck through the rim of the bottom because the combustion inside a closed space is a vacuum effect on the bottom's airtight.
Okay, and Mark, can you please share with us what you learned from doing this experiment?
I learned that a napkin instead of a piece of binder paper that they were sustain.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
It's another
Patience
reason
is a
why we need
virtue,
more.
so we can wait.
Energy, using sound to create energy, and giving I learned was a rule of gravity, and pressure, and also learned how we have one deal with seawater was sleeping up and not possibly dependent animals such as coral. This also showed us that high pH liquids such as baking soda and bleach and have acidic. Thank you for listening. Hi, my name is Aaron Alfred. My project was creating a seed and infection of 16 fruits. I proposed this to everybody that has the most impact and those fluoride in the masses. I learned that this is my hypothesis. I used 2 low cells so I could measure the effects. And then after that, I could measure the impact of the seed. Then I realized that the girl honey goshi had the fastest and the most effects. Thank you.
Could you demonstrate some of these girls real quick, what they look like? That's okay. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead and finish as best you can. We're going to have to restart the presentation.
It's all right. I have it up here so I can do the same. So I wanted to announce the district winners. 5th grade district winner, Angel Gomez Lopez from JFK. Sixth grade winner, Mark Justine Valdivas, TRP. Seventh grade team winners, Kai Tirado and Isabella Chu from Ben Franklin. And the 8th grade winner, Mark Tarosa from TRP. Now at the San Mateo County winners, 5th grade team from MP Brown, Luis Eisen, Bianca Pires, Natalia Lima, and Raymond Chiardella, they took 2nd place at the county. You had to stand with me. And a special award winner, 5th grade from Thomas Edison, Haley Chan. And I just want to explain the special award. It's the IEEE Special Award. This came from 4 special judges that were at the county. And these are from the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And this award is for innovative ideas and designs. So it was beyond not only just being there for the San Mateo County winners, but an innovative design and idea is a pretty remarkable thing. So I wanted to congratulate all these winners. They did a fine job. They worked really hard. And one more round of applause for them, please. And I also wanted to thank the teachers and the staff. I actually changed the slides, and I need to thank my co-coordinator, Principal Beth Goff. I want to also thank Morgan Dix, Diana Mendez, Gigi Hinden, Katie Bibble, Claudine Camacho Felix. There's one up there that didn't show up, Krista Forziak. And then the middle school STEM coordinators, Sasha Saibi, Ray Domingo, and Calvin Poon. They led their teams. They taught them how to use the digital presentations and walked them through the process. This whole district science fair wouldn't have happened, A, without the students, but B, without the coordinators. And I wanted to give them a round of applause. And last, especially not least, the parents. Thank you for supporting your children and helping them do this and learn. Congratulations, everybody. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Burke, are there any questions or comments from fellow trustees? And I'm going to start to my left.
So I just want to commend all you students for your great work. The science fair takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And on top of all your schoolwork that you are already doing, on top of all of your extracurriculars, you all made time to participate, and then you all got accommodations for being here. So congratulations once again, students.
So this is a special night. We get to congratulate two different groups of students. My hat, well, I don't have a hat on, but hats off to the students. I'm so glad to see this happen because during distance learning, we weren't able to, go out to the county and see what students usually do. So to be able to adapt and use technology for a STEM fair it seems appropriate, right? And it's beautiful listening to just the creativity of the students, their technical skills that they're building right now. And so I just want to encourage all of you to keep up the great work. And if any of you are interested in science careers, go after it. The world needs more innovation and more solutions to our problems. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to just echo the commendations that you gave, Mr. Burke, to the teachers, the coordinators, the parents, the students, and I certainly want to thank you, Mr. Burke, for your role in facilitating the fair. I'm really proud to represent the district that to have these great results and do these incredible projects. And I was just I lost track of all the great things that we were taking on, but just noted the first project of building a car that doesn't run on fossil fuels. How relevant and important is that? And so just congratulations to the student winners, congratulations to everybody who participated, and very, very smart to pursue STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, because this is the fastest growing field. A lot of good jobs available in this area, and as Trustee Ali said, solutions for problems that the world is facing. So thanks again.
I echo my fellow trustees. I'm also really glad to see how equitable this was, being able to allow students from all levels, all backgrounds, all ages, nationalities, and it's just amazing to see. And like my fellow trustees said, I mean, STEM is not going away, and you can do it. There are so many jobs, high-paying jobs. You can, pay back your parents for all the support that they've been giving you all these years. And with that, we want to give you some certificates and a gift for the great work that you've done, because you deserve it, and we want to show you that appreciation. So I'm going to have my fellow trustees help me out with this. And so when you hear your name, step forward and receive your gift and certificate. And Trustee Sujisaka, you can start. And
Okay, so the first two awards are for Angel Gomez Lopez and Mark Justine Valdivas.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Mark Justin.
I have a certificate, first place for Kai Tirado in the 7th grade. And I have a certificate of first place for Isabella Chu in the 7th grade.
Certificate for excellence in science goes to Eloise Ison. And next, certificate of recognition is awarded to Bianca Pires.
Not here.
Okay, we'll give it to Bianca later, right? Okay. And Mark Tarosa, excellence in science. Strong handshake.
And I have a certificate of excellence in science for Haley Chan. I have another certificate of excellence in science for Natalia Lima. And last but not the least, I have another certificate for excellence in science for Raymond Ciardella. I want to give one last round of applause for our awardees, and again, congratulations again, and keep up the good work. And so for the two students that were not here today, we will mail that information to them. Thank you. Perfect. We're going to move on to the next item on our agenda. And I know, some parents probably like, do we have to stay for the rest of the meeting? You're welcome to stay, but if not, feel free to go home, have dinner, do some homework. Do some more STEM projects. Okay, board trustees, you ready to move on to the next item? All right, so we're gonna go to item 8E. Contracted services agreement for Fit Kids contracts, 23-24 school year. Fit Kids is one of the organizations involved in the Governor's Advisory Council on Physical Fitness and Mental Wellness. School board members had an opportunity to view the program in action during the first partners visit to Woodrow Wilson School. Woodrow Wilson and Westlake Elementary Schools are already member schools. 6 additional schools would like to begin participating in the support program and resource provisions afforded to member schools. The district will pay for the initial year of membership, $3,500 per site. Sites would take on the additional membership fees of $1,000 on a yearly basis to remain connected to the network of support. Principal DeLonda of Woodrow Wilson will provide an overview of the Fit Kids program, and the administration recommends the governing board approval of this contract for $21,000 to provide equipment and support the physical education program at 6 additional sites for the 23-24 school year. This contract will be paid by the general fund. Mr. DeLonda.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I thank you for that introduction. That helped me out a lot. Fit Kids has been an organization that Woodrow Wilson has partnered with for a few years, and actually trustee Aaron Roshbaugh was instrumental in helping basically sign us up for the program. And it's a great partnership. And so I have a presentation that I put together just speaking on the program and what it's like from like a daily point of view. So yeah, I think I can use this. All right, great. So this is part of the Fit Kids mission. The Fit Kids mission is to provide structured physical activity programs for underserved children to build foundation for a healthy, active life. It's a nationwide program with that operates in 9 states. Partner schools, 122 partner schools, and the program operates from pre-kinder to 8th grade. And here's a few pictures that I've included of some of our students at Woodrow participating in some Fit Kids activities. And the importance of physical education is, cannot be understated or overstated, excuse me. And 75% of U.S. children fail to get the recommended hour of daily physical activity. And so how Fit Kids is implemented at school is what's really nice about the program is that it's very natural. It's kind of integrated very seamlessly into the PE program of the school. The coordinators, the Fit Kids coordinators work with our PE aides, at the sites, and it can be used as a primary PE curriculum as well as in combination with other PE curriculum. And it can also be used in other ways, such as brain breaks during academic lessons and so forth. I have to say that seeing Fit Kids program during the distance learning time was amazing, because the Fit Kids has quite a catalog of video of PE lessons and how kids can, it's kind of self-sustained PE lessons that can be done at home or in the driveway or the sidewalk, and it was very cool to be able to use the Fit Kids curriculum during the distance learning time. Part of the Fit Kids program is that a school is offered PE equipment. So any sort of necessary program equipment is included that supports lessons. The Coach's Corner is their online component, and so it includes a Fit Kids curriculum. There's a Fit Kids video library that I just mentioned, as well as student access to Fit Kids video library. There's a mobile app that PE teachers, PE aides can use as well, and so it's a very digital platform as well. There's on-site support. Our coordinator for our school is Navita Wilson, who's incredible. She works really great with our PE teachers on site and is available to talk to me as an administrator, to meet with teachers, to come out, to be on site. She was even out on site when the Governor's Council came to visit our school and help lead the lessons, and it's a really just a strong, positive partnership. The curriculum, of course, includes curriculum, PE curriculum, and there's also professional development. There's a quote here. I won't read it word for word, but I do want to give thanks to our former PE teacher, Oliver Quesada, who is a great PE teacher at Woodrow Wilson, who helped implement the program at our site a few years ago. Part of it, part of his quote, I asked him if he could give us a quote, and he said, "The Fit Kids program has given our students the opportunity to learn and have fun while participating in fitness activities. The curriculum is utilized in our PE program to work with what we currently do and add additional resources for our students." So it's a great program in that, again, it supports PE teachers with their lessons. And here is a video testimonial that is on the Fit Kids site. And this features our current PE teacher, RJ. And he is, he's featured in the video. Do I play it from here? Okay.
Fit Kids, the philosophy, I love it. Actually, the mission statement in general, I'm just a big fan of what she does and what Fit Kid represents. It's about movement. It's not about the sport, winning, losing, etc. It's about moving your body, getting used to your body. The kid actually learning the physical component before the sport.
One of the biggest things I like is just having a set plan for the day, but it's also flexible. So I can bring in the games that I know that they really like.
Growing up in a low income neighborhood of South Market area, school where we probably shared one kickball for 5 classrooms. This is an immense amount of equipment. All the tools for the teachers to have the resources, the stuff online, the books.
They like that we always had stuff to do. Before that, we were kind of just ripping it, have our own makeshift games and relay races.
They know what to expect too. It's the same format, so they know we're going to do our warm-ups and our games, and they look forward to that.
A lot of young girls coming out to people like, all right, let's go. They got their yoga pants on, they got their shoes on, they sweater, they feel the word.
Their favorite part is the games, any game that we played.
Kids that are quieter in class or for math or history, they get to kind of have more of a leadership role.
I see them a little bit more cheering or, I guess, observable or lenient with a student that maybe isn't at the same skill level as them.
You could definitely tell from the beginning of the year, and that coordination got a lot better. It's the balls.
They're getting back to class a little bit less stressed.
They were all calm down. They were able to like their testing, whatever we needed to do that day.
As soon as Julia came in, told us the whole mission statement, asked his background, the equipment they provided, and everything else. I went back to my morning school the next day. I said, Mrs. O'Neill, we gotta have this. We gotta have this.
I think we enjoy it just as much as the kids see the competition rise between kids and what they take away from that.
And then I'm texting my colleagues who work at different sites. Principal, please, everybody in Baker, everybody across the nation, we need to have the kids there from K all the way through maybe even 12th grade, you know?
We should bring back the STEM engineering kids to help with that.
Exactly. They all left, and that wasn't RJ's voice. He didn't have 5 different voices. But you get the message. It's a wonderful program, and I think it was the most poignant part was that it supports PE teachers instead of just winging it or learning from each other. But this is a legit program that really supports PE teachers in a really meaningful way. This quote is by Ashley Hunter, who's the founder and executive director. She's part of the Governor's Advisory Council who visited our school. Her quote was, "I truly believe in the power of physical activity to transform lives. Being active is such a critical part of everyone's physical and mental development, and I'm so proud of the positive impact Fit Kids makes on the lives of thousands of children around the country through our structured physical activity program. Fit Kids has the potential to bring physical and mental health and wellness to young children anywhere, anytime, thanks to the incredible efforts by the Fit Kids team and our board of directors." Okay. We also have another video. Wait, let me go next. Maybe. We have a short video that this was taken actually at our site at Woodrow Wilson a few years ago when as the program was being implemented at the site.
All we need by the name is hope. Saying that there's hope. When we step outside of our houses, we're going to see our future how we see our environment.
You don't have space to actually run. You don't have space to play soccer. You don't have space to just be agile.
The kids under exercises, how they under equipment.
What I enjoyed most about was doing the exercise and giving the exercise to your body and especially more times.
Differences I see their digits, their confidence, also their ability. They're a lot more. They seem more excited.
So we were slowly buying balls and asking for ball drives and all of a sudden these bags and stuff arrived, and it's just so amazing up here to see our kids playing tape, doing just joyfully jumping and trying out different things.
All right. So one thing that I, like to point out is that sometimes we judge programs by their sustainability and how a program that is implemented at a school will survive, say, administration turnover or teacher turnover and last throughout the years. And as you can see, there's a different principal, different PE teacher, and the program is still going really strong. And so I think that was, it's a big takeaway and speaks to the value of the program and the strength of the program. But yeah, that's it. I really do believe in it, and I do hope that more schools are able to participate. I think it would be a great thing for JESD. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Talanta. Do I have any comments or questions from fellow trustees? I'll start on my right.
Thank you, Principal Delanda. It is great to see you here. And, I feel really fortunate that my kids attended Woodrow Wilson for elementary school because they had such a rich experience in physical education. And seeing those videos brought me back to seeing them on the field with Coach Oliver and Coach RJ. And also, during the pandemic, to see them exercising in our living room with their coaches and using some of the Fit Kids tools. So I think, as you said, it's so important that, they've added the structure and the equipment and, the technology piece to really get kids exercising and moving, so important to their academic growth, as well. And I really like that this program is just very accessible. I liked, how one of the coaches is saying in the video that they get the movement before the sport. And, I think that can be appealing to a student of any, whatever their level of interest is in athletics. It gets them moving and able to enjoy and appreciate physical education. So I'm really glad to see that, this program could potentially expand to more of our schools. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. And thank you to Trustee Rashba when he was just a parent at the time for helping us out with this. Not just a parent, but a stellar parent, I'll say. It just reminds me of it's in the Bible, asking it will be given to you. And just listening to you all talk about how you just asked for, a couple balls and then you got all this equipment, and seeing not just the equipment, but the students actually utilize it and having fun and being active is really wonderful. And also just, thinking about green space and open space. We also sometimes forget to say recreation space. So you're making good use of that, the first effort that we made by getting the soccer field, and you're using it for other things besides just soccer. So that's great. And I liked hearing actually the part about what you said, that it could be utilized for brain breaks in between lessons. I thought that was nice. And also that it can be used as the primary PE curriculum or in conjunction. But I just wanted to get a little bit more idea from you of how it's used there. Is it the primary curriculum or is it just in conjunction?
Well, I would say that it is the driver of our program. And one thing that I appreciate about the program is the focus is on non-elimination games, that just like we said, the movement piece is first. And then when it does come to activities, it's based on non-elimination activities. So we're all used to the traditional sports of, hey, you're out, but sometimes that's not for everybody. And so what Fit Kids brings that I appreciate, again, are the non-elimination games that kids who normally wouldn't participate in a traditional sport are able to really dig in and have fun with the physical activity. But at our site, going back, I would say that it's the main driver of our activities in our PE program. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I do remember when I think 4 out of the 5 of us got to go to your school site, and then with the first partner, which was really cool to see. So I recall that. So thank you very much again for a second presentation and a view of what that is. Yeah.
I echo my fellow trustees. I'm actually so happy to see this on the agenda. I feel like when we met, we asked a lot of questions and we're like, why is this not at the rest of our schools? And so I didn't expect you to put this on the agenda so fast. So appreciate you both for taking our comments and feedback and trying to move forward with this. For the parents that are at home, I would love for us to mention the 6 schools if possible that will be getting this. And then I know I had spoken to you, Superintendent Vidales, about being able to track the climate before and after the program has started, to really just see how has it really benefited those students and the schools. And obviously for the, we're not going to force this upon all the other schools, but making sure that we're able to give that feedback to the schools that have decided not to move forward with this one. Again, the benefit that it brings, it's more of what I'm hearing is an additive. It's giving you more value than just what your regular day-to-day would be. So if Principal Delano, do you mind mentioning the 6 schools? Do you have that information, or Superintendent?
I can do that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so we do have 6 schools who signed up to want to implement this at their sites next year. It's George Washington, Garden Village, MP Brown, Thomas Edison, Daniel Webster, and Susan B. Anthony.
Awesome. And so I'm just happy to hear that, because that means there's, making it equitable for more than just, elementary. It's middle schools, elementary schools, all being able to have access to this. And so I'm really excited to hear how it changes the climate and it changes the PE time for our students. So again, thank you so much. And I look forward to visiting another school and watching, children be as excited about the program as we are. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, this is an action item. And so do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, that was approved. Moving on to item 8F, the annual panorama survey. Ms. Cox and Ms. Martinez, the program director of student services, will update the board on the highlights.
Hi, it's just going to be me. That's okay. Scott's here too, but I'm Stephanie Martinez. I know most of you, but I'm the program director of student services, and tonight I'm going to be presenting about our student results from our survey that we do every year. I'm going to talk a little bit about counseling services and our family liaison support services, which is a part of what I do. Not all of what I do, but a part. So just to kind of make sure everyone knows why we do this survey is, one, student voice is extremely important. It should drive our work. They should influence what we do. They hold us accountable, right? So I think it's really, really important, and I take this data very, very serious when I look at it. Some of the things that we've done in past, we re-envisioned what we're trying to measure for the past 2 years. So this is our first year having comparative data from the previous year, because the pandemic shifted our things in a lot of different ways. So this is our first year to have comparison data since the pandemic. These are skills that we feel support student achievement, student performance, and student well-being. And so supportive relationships, self-management, social awareness, learning strategies, and grit. Now, at first sight, some of these might look a little low, but these measures are based off of research-based questions with a Likert scale. So some of the questions have answers that are neutral, and the neutral responses are included in the negative kind of response rates, if that makes sense. So at first glance, there seems like there's a lot of concerns, but when you dive deeper, what I love about this data is that you can look at it at a site-based level. You can look at it at a grade level. You can break it down in many different ways. And when I was going through this data, most of the concerns kind of ended up being things that are very typical. So, for instance, when you're talking about self-management, there's a question around how often are you able to remain calm when somebody's bothering you or saying something mean. 3rd through 8th grade students are taking this data. It is very typical that they're not always able to manage their emotions. So it's a data point amongst many points that we look at, but just kind of wanted to explain this a little bit further. So this is our results for grade 3 through 5. We did have some increases, which is great, but I definitely want to see some more growth. We added learning strategies, and I think that that's really important because we need to consistently remind ourselves that students' well-being is connected to how they learn, and vice versa. This is our middle school results. So same measures, different results. I'll let you take a look at that. Moving on, we also asked students to fill out an anonymous survey, which is around school climate. And so school climate measures things around their perceptions of how the school feels, how they're feeling, and how teachers are feeling. And so this is really good data for us to break down as well. again, around the school climate in both middle and elementary, one of the questions was how much does behavior of others affect your learning? And that brought it down in the school climate area. However, I would say the neutral responses carried a lot of weight in bringing that measure down. So again, it's really good to dive deeper, but at first glance, obviously it's still a conversation point to have. Right? And we do want our students to feel more on the positive side than neutral. So that would be a goal moving forward around school climate. And other measures like our learning models, safety, and a sense of belonging. And again, when you're looking at school safety, I'll just point it out in this area. School safety also asks perceptions. Do you think about, safety at your school? Do you think something's going to happen? And I would have to say that it's not just based on their experiences at school. There's also a lot of media. There's also a lot of access that they have to other information. And as parents yourselves and as folks that work in schools yourselves, that there's been a lot of attention around school safety, and, students think about that. That's it for the data. So we have two reports for each grade level. And now I'd like to get into counseling and mental health services. I would like to say this year we've been doing the best we can. We have had some shortages. It's county-wide. It's not just us. But I'm really, really proud of how all of my counselors have stepped up in the hardest of times to support each other, to support me, to support their teachers, to support their admin, and to support their families. It's amazing what they've been able to accomplish. And so I'm really excited to go through this data. And their work is also the work that helps us get to results around prevention and responsiveness. And so the data does talk about or speak to their efforts, but that other data that we just covered is also the efforts of teachers and classified staff and admin too. So in our elementary school setting, our top service types. So we log all of our services in our system, and I'm able to generate reports based off of all of their entries. So in elementary, we have the top is classroom guidance. And the reason for that is that we're really pushing for the ASCA national model, which is the American School Counseling model that believes in making sure that we do much more prevention so that we're doing much less responsiveness, because you can serve more students that way. And so that's amazing to see them going into the classroom, teaching kids about a lot of different life skills and building that knowledge at an early age. And that's kindergarten through 8th grade that happens. The counselors select certain lessons every summer to teach for the next year, and we revise throughout the year based off of trends. The second is group counseling services. So that's targeted. Students are needing more support after the guidance lessons in the classroom. And then the third is individualized counseling services. So this is perfect data that says they're following the model. And as you can see, 17,778 interventions logged is incredible. And that is counting each student who was participating in the classroom lessons. This is why I wanted us to shift to the ASCA model, because we were not getting these kinds of numbers when I was a counselor in the building. So this is amazing work. For the middle school counseling, it's almost the same, but their third top service was collaboration. We've had a lot of students at that level that need more providers to support them or outside resources to support them. And so we can see that that's a shift in middle school. And again, still a good number, 7,000, plus interventions logged. A lot higher than where we were at 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So I'm really proud of what the middle school team has done as well. And when we're looking at tiered support, I just really wanted to highlight the number of students that have been served in a small group setting or an individual setting. So not only are those other interventions logged covering everything, it's really nice to see how many students have received targeted services in either a group or as individuals. And For those of you who might remember Care Solace, it is a platform that we use that assists families, staff, and students in finding mental health services, either on their own or through a referral that we make. We've had 376 referrals go through our anonymous search engine that's just for JESD. And then we've had 45 what we call warm handoffs, meaning the student hasn't received mental health counseling, so we do a warm handoff to make sure they get into care. So that's 45 students who probably would have just been referred to an agency, but they probably would have, maybe a handful would have gone into care. This service really assists us in beneficial ways. And so it's a lot of mental health services, counseling services, and supports happening in our building. And just really, really amazed when you actually see it in number form. I was surprised myself. Moving on. So another part of my department is our family liaison services. I would say we started this work around 4 years ago in partnership with Star Vista, and we were able to pilot a program because what I was seeing is our families that were, our students who were struggling in our schools, the families were also experiencing a lot of stress and a lot of difficult experiences that they did not know how to navigate through with minimal support. And so in order to support our teachers and our admin and the counselors to do the work in the building, I engaged in a contract that I felt would help remove barriers, expedite access to services for families, and assist them in ways that we had never done before. And that happened at the perfect time, because then we went into the pandemic and we were ready to face that need. And then we carried it over into our return to school and are still continuing those services. So I'm really proud of that. And I just kind of wanted to capture a majority of our referrals. We usually hit over 150 families a year. We're averaging like around 150, 175, I think has been our top number. Right now we're at 100 families referred and have been in services for the majority of the year. Most of the first kind of things that we offer are our parent support groups. So we offer internal groups and external groups, clothes, shoes, backpacks. So we provide families with the needs that their children have that they cannot provide. And school attendance support, which is kind of the origin of this liaison support in the first place. In order to improve school attendance, families need support too. And then the last largest category, I mean, they're kind of all pretty large, but rental assistance. So home stability is very important, and lots of our families faced different challenges with their housing or job security. So we support them with applying for rental assistance, finding emergency shelters, and working with the local shelters to ensure that our families get in, and we assist them with turning in all the paperwork that they need. And so this is a breakdown of why parents are referred, but I would say rental assistance support and school attendance support is our #1 service. And that's it. Short and sweet. You can have it. Thank you. I guess one last thing. I really do take my role very seriously, and I really do care about our families and students and teachers and staff and principals. And so all of this work is to hope for a better environment, a better working environment, a better learning environment, a better educational experience for our families, because those who have had the hardest of circumstances, when provided this kind of support and this kind of love and care, can really shift things for years to come. And so I really believe that this work is really important, and I take it very serious.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Fellow trustees, do you have questions or comments? I'm going to start on my left.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for that extremely thorough presentation. I can tell from working with you, and then also from your data presentation, that you do take your job very seriously. And again, I've seen firsthand what you can do and it is incredibly impressive. The amount of families that you've helped, the amount of supplies that you provide, everything in the slides, as you said, at least for this last year. This year I can't confirm, but last year I know that you were detrimental to most of our students, and they couldn't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I had two questions, but I'll start with one because I want to respect our other trustees' time. On slide, there was, well, I think on all the first 4 slides, which were the matrices on 3 through 5 grades and 6 through 8, where we were measuring the climate. So now that we have this data, and I know now that we have 2 years worth of data, what are some plans that we have to move forward for a 3rd year, 5th year, et cetera?
Thank you. Yes. So we did have a data analysis day with my school counselors in December, right after we got this. And, I try to meet the needs of the district as a whole, but I also do believe that sites have their own needs too. And so we decided to collaborate on common data points with some of the counselors, and then some had their own unique needs. And so we're still working on the plans of intervening in some of the data that we saw currently right now. And so some of the things they've done have been going back into the classroom, asking more questions about the students' responses, which I think gives the students a feeling of empowerment, that they're being heard. Small groups have been initiated. Additional services have been coordinated. We started new groups in January to support students with healthy coping skills. So it's all over, I feel. The district has been responsive in the best way that they can in a really trying year, to be honest. Like, as you know, and the experiences that we've had under my department have been really challenging and hard and emotional. And so, but we still show up, and we're trying to, address all the needs. So thank you for that question. In future years, I hope to figure out a new way to bring teams back together to really address this data that was really helpful in past years. But with the sub shortages and teachers wanting to remain in their classrooms with their kids, it's hard to pull them. So hopefully next year we'll get back to a version of that doesn't cause too much stress, but, causes growth.
And again, also thank you for all that, including the counselor shortage too. So
yeah, thank you.
Yes, I always look forward to hearing you come and present about what you're doing and your team. And I just wanted to see if you could talk a little bit more about the classroom guidance lessons, because I don't hear that too often, that the counselors are actually in the classroom, so can you just say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I would say the elementary counselors, as you could see, are in the classrooms a lot more. I think there's just more flexibility in the schedule, and our goal is to teach around 4 to 6 lessons per grade level a year if we can. But as you know, or maybe some of you don't know, we do have part-time counselors, which makes it extremely challenging and cuts that in half. So, obviously I said it last year, I really do hope we make some increases in services, because we obviously need it. The data is telling us that, and we could see much more impact. But yeah, the lessons are around emotion regulation, all of the things that we're measuring. But do you want to know about the curriculum, or just how many lessons, or?
Whatever you wanted to tell us.
I mean, we cover a gamut of things. We also do digital citizenship lessons that teaches kids various skills, how to be safe online, not to share your personal information. We also teach around feelings and how to express your feelings and communicate your feelings, so that we could decrease like physical aggression, behavior, those types of things. So it's across the board. I would say we need a little work on college and career. We have one lesson, but it's always the one that maybe we lean more so on for the teachers. However, some schools have taught it, but most of it is around emotion, friendships, academic skills, safety.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is great to hear all of this, and to know that we're always being proactive. I mean, you said it, we're not waiting to react.
Yeah.
And by having the counselors in the classroom actually teaching, I think is somewhat innovative. I don't know if anyone else is doing it. We like to claim that we're always in the forefront of things, so I'm pretty sure there's not too many other but also extending it and understanding that we need to support the families and not only supporting them, but focusing on the basic needs first. You know, how can we teach them and, you know, go to the higher level skills we want to teach them if they don't have the basic needs met. So I'm glad to hear that our district is putting this much thought and care into what we're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to echo the thanks from my fellow trustees. Really enjoyed your presentation, Ms. Martinez, and I was very impressed with the services that we're providing to families, just all the variety of them, and I think it's so important in the current climate. And you know, all the interventions logged with the students is, I know, making a real difference, and particularly impressive that you are doing this, I know, with many challenges in the department. So thank you very much for your work. My question was actually around the survey slides. And basically, I just wanted to hear more of, you know, what you do with this information. You know, I guess I was a little concerned to hear that, you know, many students have concerns about school safety, have concerns about school climate. I hear you that, you know, if they gave a neutral response, that's entered as negative. And I know that a lot of it comes from the media, you know, environment, but just what you do with this information.
Yeah, so an example, when we're addressing perception data, we have to talk with the kids. Why do you perceive that there could be harm in the school? What is it? What do you know? Finding out more information from them, whether it's a real risk at the school or it's just things that they're hearing and that they're thinking that could happen. So that's an example of using student voice and returning to them to ask for clarification. There's other things on here, you know, when it talks about, you know, how much does behavior affect my learning? That's how we can go in and talk to students not only about how their behavior affects others, but talk to students about how they can advocate for themselves to have a quieter space, or to ask the student to stop interrupting their learning, or, you know, we teach them those kinds of advocacy skills, assertive language, things like that. So that's what our teams at the sites, and, you know, as much as I can, I'm at those meetings to think about what we could do after looking at our data that's, you know, practical, that's responsive, and that can impact and affect change the next year. If not, at the end of the year, you know, just asking the students these questions again and seeing if there's some shifts. But that's some examples of what we've done in past. Yeah.
And Trustee Sujisaka, you said you had a second question.
I'm good, actually. Thank you so much. You all basically asked my question, so thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Martinez. I actually also had the pleasure of seeing you in action, and it was not only seeing you in action, but seeing how the kids interacted with you, how the teachers interacted with you. It was almost like you were meant to be there, and like you weren't like coming in and asking open-ended questions about things that they didn't want to talk about. The children really wanted to talk to you and engage, and I just commend you for that, especially again, like knowing that, you know, I've seen you in action, so I can attest to just the passion that you have for your job. And for our students. And you mentioned love, and I think, you know, when you come from a place of love, I read the book All About Love by Bill Hooks. When you approach everything with love, there's so many things that we can do. There's so much more calm and peace that can come from that when you just approach things in a different manner. So just want to commend you and your staff for being able to do that for our district. So I do have a couple questions. For learning strategies, I know that was a new one. How do we come up with that being a new one to track? And then I also noticed that there was no comparison to the other districts. Is it because that other districts are not tracking that specifically, and we're innovative and we're doing things different?
Yes. Yeah, we are Jefferson Elementary School District. Like, we are our own, and we've always acted as that. So I'm really proud of us for always being progressive, and I strive to be progressive and think about not just what I have to do, but what's best for the kids always. And so learning strategies is basically around questions how well students deliberately use strategies to manage their own learning processes. And so I feel that it's important for us to also ask kids what they think their skills are. And so those questions ask, in the past 30 days, have you done this? Instead of us always talking about what we think the student knows how to do or how great they are at things, it's asking them how great they think they are with these skill sets so that we can meet them where they're at in their perception, because that's really important as a young person, to be heard and met with, like, curiosity and acceptance and support. So that's, around the lines of how we came up with, we not only want to measure emotions and regulation skills and things like that. I truly believe that the academic skills are just as important for us to focus on and to listen to the kids of where they think they're at. Because we could be teaching skills that they don't really need or want to learn, and then we're faced with that struggle. So that's why I think this data is really important, and it's just a starting point. It's not everything, but it at least gives us their perception from their point of view.
Absolutely, and hopefully the students see that as they care, because they're not just they're not leading me on. They're asking me about me, and I'm able to give my response based on me and not based on what they want me to say. So I really, really appreciate that. And then my last question, well, actually maybe not my last question, tiered support. Is there overlap with the students that are in each tier?
Yes, sometimes there are, because sometimes students go through, they might need more and at a different time because something else happened, or because, the class gets more challenging or life is more challenging. So we do a really good job of trying to move kids in and out, but we also are very aware that kids can continuously need more.
And when a student continuously needs more, how do we ensure that, I guess we're addressing, like, we're seeing that this person needs more help, needs more support, but ensuring that they don't feel like, maybe afraid to come because they're like, oh my God, once again, I have to go talk to my counselor, or maybe even the parents, like, how are they feeling? What is the climate between that and, again, from the tiered standpoint of them moving in and out, like, how... I don't know how to ask the question.
I think I understand what you're saying. What we try to do is remove the stigma of counseling services, because in our community, when I first started, it was seen as that you have a problem, and that's not how we approach counseling. Now that we're following this model, everyone has a counselor. Everyone gets counseling services. Everybody receives them no matter what. And so we try to reduce and eliminate that stigma, and we try to speak about the services as a support, as something that will help them grow, and everyone has growth to make. So I would say a lot of kids come in and out of our services, which makes it something that just happens. And I would love for us to get to a place where we just say counseling services happen. You really don't get to opt out because it's what's best for our kids. And so that's another conversation to have. But your question is leading my mind to, it's something that we've had internal discussions as a department. Every student deserves this. It's not because there's a problem. It's because it's part of their life and their personal growth to become young adults in society.
I appreciate you saying that. And for people out there, at least for me, I actually see a therapist. I consider myself a high functioning individual, and I still see someone. And I think for me, it just helps, even when I don't have quote unquote problems or issues, it just helps me stay level. Like, because life is hard. We have power outages at school. We have sicknesses that are still going around. I'm wearing a mask, obviously.
Exactly.
Trees falling on your house or cars or, whatever. And so being able to feel safe, we consider our schools a safe place. I think it's important that you, your staff, and obviously our parents understand that they are welcome. And they should not have a stigma or fear of having to talk to a counselor. And so I just wanted to say that out loud because I wanted it to, like, I am a board trustee, and I also have a therapist. So, last question. I asked this question last year because of the shortages. How's your staff doing from a mental standpoint? Are they okay?
Yeah, we have a tendency to just keep going, but I have forced them to sit and talk about what they're experiencing, what they need, and how they can support each other. And you know, we're doing the best that we can, to be honest, and I think that's across the board. But they know that they have me, they know that they have each other, and I think that that's made, you know, a world of a difference for all of us.
Absolutely. I appreciate this presentation. I want you and your staff to know that we absolutely appreciate what you do, especially coming out of a pandemic. We know that there's going to be residual, effects of that. And so just keep doing what you're doing. And I would love to give you all a round of applause for all the work that you just did.
I mean, and thanks to, I don't do this alone, so thank you to everybody too. You guys, it's not just me. I just get to represent it, but so proud of the work that we do. So thank you for all of your thoughtful questions and your support. It does mean the world to us, and we hope to, you know, keep doing great things. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
All right, we're moving on to item 9E. Oh, I'm like, did I miss something? Okay, pupil transportation plan. The administration recommends approval of the pupil transportation plan for Jefferson Elementary School District for the 2022-23 school year. Do we have any questions, comments on this? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. We're going to be moving on to item 10C. Declaration of the need for fully qualified educators. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing requires the governing board to vote annually to approve the attached declaration of need, certifying that there may be an insufficient number of certificated persons. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving to item 10D, CBEST waiver declaration. The governing board declares that the district is unable to recruit teachers and substitutes who have not had an opportunity to take and pass the California Basic Education Skills Test. The district anticipates employing 6 substitutes and 4 teachers on variable term CBEST waivers for the 23-24 school year. Questions or comments from the board?
I had one quick question, Superintendent Vidalis. So the waiver, so this does mean that they eventually do have to take the CBEST and pass it to continue. This just allows them to continue for this year, or how does that work?
I can speak to
Mr.
that.
Valenti,
Yeah. Actually, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to take it. You can get a waiver or get the CBEST waived based on coursework. So if you have A's and B's in all the main reading, writing, mathematics, then we can do it that way as well.
Awesome. Thank you. No more further questions.
Are there any other questions?
I just have one question that's related to item C and D in a way. Do we have teachers that are going for the national board certification?
So we've had one that's gone through the program and received it. We have another one that was currently in the program that I'm aware of that we've put forward since we started that, offering that stipend. Yeah.
And how much is the stipend?
We reimburse, I believe it's $2,400 or $2,600 to return. I got to check on that. And then it's a $5,000 annual stipend once you've received it, as long as you're working in your content area.
Yeah.
So if you have science and you're teaching science, otherwise if you're teaching something else. Yeah.
So I just want to encourage our teachers to go for that certification.
Yeah, and definitely talk to myself or certainly Bernie until August 2023.
Are there any other questions or comments? I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving to 10E, assignment of certificated personnel outside of credential authorization. To be in compliance with the California Ed Code, the Board of Trustees is required to approve the assignment of certificated personnel to teach outside their credential authorization period. The district presently has 25 teachers who have signed teacher consent forms and who meet the criteria to teach subject areas outside of their credential authorization through the following education codes: 44256B equals 7, 44258.3 equals 1, 44258.7 C and D equals 3, T580005B equals 14. The administration recommends approval of these assignments for the 22-23 school year. Any questions, comments? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. Moving to item 10F. The administration recommends approval of the updated job description for school assistant principal student services. Are there any questions, comments?
Just a quick question. How many assistant principals would you expect to be given this designation? Would this go like to at all schools or certain schools?
So all of our current vice principals, their title, it's sort of been synonymous already, but they will be considered assistant principals. So it'll be our 3 middle school principals, Ben Franklin Thomas, Sarah Policita, and Fernando. Our other schools only have deans, or the K-8 has a dean. And I believe those are the only current ones. So it would just be the 3 6-8 middle school vice principals. This more adequately represents the work they've been doing.
There are no further questions or comments. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So first and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. Moving to item 10G, Jefferson Elementary School District recently received the Community Schools Planning Grant. The community school coordinator will be responsible for coordinating the people and organizations to support planning for community schools in the district and writing the implementation grant application as stated in the attached job description. This is a grant-funded position. The administration recommends the board approve the job description, qualifications, salary for the community school coordinator. Are there any questions or comments from the board on this?
Yes, I have a comment. First of all, I would like to congratulate and commend Ms. McCulloch. I'm not sure if anyone else helped you write the grant proposal, but if they did, thank you as well. And just a side note, years ago, Ms. Martinez and I were in a room with Ms. McCulloch before she was officially hired, and I wasn't on the board yet, and us 3, along with Melinda Dart. I wish she was here right now. But we were in the room, this was at least 12, 13 years ago, trying to drum up support and let people know the community schools movement and how things were going. I believe at the time, Washington, D.C. area. And so we were one of the first districts to really push to have the community schools model come out here. And so I'm just so happy to see us get to this point where we're able to get this grant and then hire a coordinator and, get it going. So thank you.
I echo my fellow board trustees' sentiments. Are there any other questions or comments?
I asked this for the benefit of anyone listening tonight and my own benefit, but Ms. McCulloch or one of the other representatives of this district, I just wanted to ask if you could describe what it means to be a community school.
A community school is really a school that embraces the community, not just the educational environment. And so it brings in outside resources or connects families to outside resources, such as food security, such as after-school programming, such as financial assistants, benefits analysts, a lot of the things that Ms. Martinez was sharing earlier, that we help a school be that kind of conduit for families to help support the whole family and the whole child, not just the academics. So it's kind of they call it wraparound services. You hear that term a lot, but it's really engaging community in the schools and vice versa, so that families are supported and that the school is that connector for them.
Thank you. I just wanted clarity around exactly what that means. And my contention is that so many of our schools are already doing this, and it's just great to have some support and maybe, other schools, I guess, around the country that are doing this, which can help in our efforts. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the reasons why we were adamant about getting that model out here, because we had identified that we already had schools that were functioning in that way as well. But this just gives us more resources to better coordinate those services.
And as Ms. Martinez said earlier, we need more resources. So I am commending the district for making this happen. And with that being said, this is an action item. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the new job description for community school coordinator.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving to item 11B. This is an information/discussion item. Education Code 45266 requires an annual report be prepared and forwarded to the governing board outlining Personnel Commission activities. The 2022 annual report has been reviewed and approved by the Personnel Commission and is submitted for the board's information. Mr. Valenti will present this report and provide an overview of the Personnel Commission's function in the district.
Good evening, everybody. I don't think I've spoken this much at a board meeting in quite some time, at least not on the record. So we have a presentation here ready to go. So as was mentioned, every year as part of my role as a dual administrator, both as Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, but as the Director of Classified Personnel. Back in the day, when I first started, we had two folks, one handling exclusively classified personnel, and then one handling exclusively certificated. Those positions merged back, I believe it was 2005, when we had, or 2006, when we merged the two, 2007, I'm looking at the MOU right here. So I handle both certificated and classified personnel, as well as just general human resources. So for just a little background, some people say merit district. What is that? So we are a merit district. We're one of three districts on the peninsula, us, South San Francisco, and San Mateo County Office of Education. All the other school districts are non-merit districts. So merit district is a personal management system that's similar to civil service. It's a system of rules and procedures that are contained in the California Constitution and Ed Code that govern classified school personnel. It provides rules and procedures for the selection and retention of employees, promotional opportunities, in-service training, and other related matters, again, exclusive to our classified staff. Its fundamental purpose is just to ensure that classified employees are selected, promoted, and retained based on the merit and fitness of their qualifications. The merit is ascertained by competitive examination. We post positions, we test for positions. Those folks that pass the tests go on to the interviews. After that, they get ranked, and we create eligibility lists. Positions also should have comparable duties and responsibilities. They receive similar classifications and compensations. And again, it's all based on the principles of merit, fitness, like pay for like work. It's a very little different process than it is for certificated. We find somebody certificated, they meet the credentials, we set up an interview, boom. This is a much more extended process. Next slide, please. The Jefferson School District has a personnel commission. We have 3 members who each serve 3-year terms. I'm lucky to have two of my colleagues here. Mr. Moore is unfortunately not here today, unless I missed him. He is the representative that the board puts in. We have Ms. Sonia Reyes here, longtime Personnel Commissioner Sonia Reyes. So she's appointed by the two fellow commissioners. Ms. Reyes' office currently she's in ends on November 30th, 2025. She actually signed this document back in 2007. So, and then we have Dennis Shreve. He's appointed by the classified employees through CSCA, chapter number 233. Mr. Shreve's term of office expires on November 30th, 2023. Mr. Shreve. And then we have County Office of Education Personnel Commissioner back there, Ms. Annette Shreve, but we're not talking about that today. So some folks say, how did this whole process get started? So the formation of a merit district can be done in one of three ways. I'm not quite sure what happened in November of 1967 and how we got ourselves. I was born in July of 69. I didn't do my research for that. But it can be formatted in formed in three ways. One, through petition and a majority vote by the classified service, a majority vote by the governing board, or a majority vote of the electorate. But it can only be dissolved in two ways, through a majority vote of the electorate, or a petition, a majority vote of the classified service. The board cannot abolish an existing merit system. So some districts, Pacific, I believe, was one. Other districts on the peninsula have gone and dissolved their merit district. That doesn't mean there isn't testing and eligibility. It's just, it doesn't have a personnel commission to with the oversight, and the rules are not applied that way. Because classified employment, much of it is in ed code. So what is the Personnel Commission responsible for? Their responsibilities include maintaining the efficiency of the classified service, the selection, retention, and promotion of classified employees upon merit district principles, prescribing, amending, or interpreting the rules which are shall be binding under the governing board and bargaining unit. We have a whole list of Personnel Commission rules and regulations, which are both on our website, but they're different than the contract. And there's certain things that are covered in the rules that are not in the contract, and certain things in the contract that are not covered in the rules. So there's sort of this parallel universe. But like I mentioned, the commission rules do not apply to contractual issues. The contract is in and of itself one thing, and the rules and regulations in the rules outlined are different. So there's this, again, it's a sort of thin needle to thread. Next slide, please. Some more of the commissioner's roles for employment authority, establishing eligibility list. I would say that's probably the number one thing is I, as the director of classified personnel in that role, I do a lot of the recruitment. We, with my colleagues, Ms. Sue, who's the HR specialist for classified, sets up testing. Oftentimes, depending on the different classification, you might get 20 people come for the test, 10 people pass, 10 people go to the next round, 5 people. So even if you have a large number of folks that come and apply and go through the process, you still may only get an eligibility list of 2 or 3 people. And with hiring in a merit district, for each position, you must have 3 candidates in order for somebody to have to choose one of those. If there's only 2 people they interview, the principal or whomever can say, I don't want to hire either of those 2. But if there's 3 candidates, they must choose at least one. So 2 positions, you need more candidates. So we run into some problems, both with recruitment, it's tough, but also to move through this process where you go test, interview, eligibility. It's a long process. They also maintain the classification plan to group classifications together into specific job categories, might be administrative, food services, instructional. So those are some of the breakdowns. And they can recommend salaries to the governing board. We recently had an assistant director position. Even though that's a management position, you folks worked on the job description, went back to the commissioners for recommended salaries and qualifications, and then the board makes the final decision. So it's a reciprocal relationship. They do their classification authority, establish minimum qualifications, salary ranges, job titles, classification plans, classify positions. So those are some of the things there. Discipline, it's another area of authority they have. If there's a disciplinary decision that's been brought to the board and the decision's been made in closed session, usually it is, and then we bring it out, a classified employee can bring it then to the Personnel Commission to appeal. And ultimately, the decision by the Personnel Commission supersedes the decision made by the board. But if they don't appeal, then just by default, the board's decision is final. Usually that hasn't, I haven't had that experience. People can also go to, classified employees can go to the Personnel Commission to help remedy a situation as well. Perhaps they didn't like the way it was resolved at the site. So they're also a body that we can come to for consultation. Next slide, please. Application and examinations. I mentioned it's the responsibility of the Personnel Commission to receive and review employment applications. I do that on their behalf to eliminate unqualified applicants and transfer candidates. Again, that's something I do on my behalf, or on their behalf, excuse me, as the director. And then to create examination procedures and conduct examinations. Those are outlined in the the rules and regulations of the Personnel Commission. So every year, I also have, that's just a little background on Merit District and for that. But I also have to come up with updated goals. So my first goal of maintaining efficient personnel operations, we've really been expanding the use of virtual oral panels and placement interviews via Zoom. It's really made it a lot easier to facilitate some of these interviews. We fully implemented electronic onboarding procedures for new employees and substitutes. And we've expanded the use of electronic recruitment and application platforms such as EdJoin, use of Indeed, or posting things through the California Association of Business Officials, CASBA. Staff development, that's a big one because some of our classified staff, particularly our instructional assistants, some of them are only 3-hour employees and they miss out on a lot of our professional development. So we've been working with our colleagues in CSCA, Wes Cole, who's the president of the union. Also with our special education department, we want to develop and expand professional development opportunities for our instructional assistants. There's a lot of students who come into class very dysregulated, and you know the instructional assistants need support just like a teacher needs their professional development. We also provide regular testing and promotional opportunities for new candidates to the district. You might have somebody that's a 3-hour employee, instructional assistant, they've got their AA now and they want to test to become an instructional technician. Higher rate, more hours. They still have to go through the process, but we really like to recruit from within. And right now we've been collaborating with Notre Dame University and Reach, an online university, to support candidates, classified staff, to get their bachelor's degree. And if they've already got their bachelor's degree, to move forward and get their teaching credentials. It's a great reservoir of talent. Some of the other staff development that we've been focusing on are instructional strategies for English learners, working with students with special needs. Certainly, there was a big ramp up when we had to go to Google or virtual, so using Zoom, Google Meets, Google Classroom. They needed to know how to use this. There's always our annual safety, injury, and illness prevention, first aid work, and some of the more social emotional supports through mindfulness. And just, again, how to be professional behavior in the workplace, child abuse reporting. There's just a number of things we do annually, but until you really look at the whole list, you don't really see, you know, what it is we've been doing. But we do have a lot more work to do in professional development support. Maintaining recruitment and selection systems based on merit principles. So we've been working with our partners in the San Mateo County Office of Ed and other county school districts to update candidate selection resources. It's been slim out there, but also we've had some good luck with hiring people. We've had a really big growth in our special circumstance instructional assistants to support special education students. It's really hard to keep up with that. So sometimes folks start as substitutes or even long-term substitutes before we can even get the testing process going. But we've been working to try to tighten that up. And as I mentioned earlier, just expanding the use of onboarding electronically, not having somebody just come in and sit down for 2 hours to fill out the 100 documents. It's doing it. We send them an email. They can do most of the work from home. And then for the paperwork that needs to be signed, healthcare documents and such. Number 4, coordinating and monitoring employee performance. So we'd like to look to revise our employee evaluations. It is something that's a negotiated item. We did a few years ago have a negotiation or an article that we negotiated for an optional self-evaluation where the staff member could identify areas that they would like to improve on and ask for that type of support observation. It didn't supplant our standard evaluation, but our standard evaluation has some room for growth as well. We've been collaborating with our site supervisors and CSEA to provide the support to our staff that are requiring performance assistance, perhaps that are not meeting standards or progressing towards standard in their performance. And also supporting our new classified employees with appropriate professional development, depending on their different classifications. So updating rules and regulations. So like I mentioned, the rules and regulations of the Personnel Commission is quite a large document. Some of the articles in them have not been updated in some time. So looking to review and identify a specific section or article of the rules and regulations, that's something we'd like to work on this year. Also improving our lines of communications. There's something that Ms. Scott brought to the district called the message in a memo. It's been a way to kind of get, meeting in a memo where we get more informational information. Boom. That's a good one. And we also have a weekly huddle where we just get together and just get some info out there. So we're using our administrative council times for more professional growth, but to use that just to get information out to site administrators about pertinent information related to the commission. Also meeting regularly with our union rep, Wes Cole. He and I, speak quite frequently. So just having that kind of reciprocal relationship and getting ahead of things instead of reacting. I, of course, attend all board meetings as part of my job as assistant superintendent. But it is a good way, again, to just get information that I share with the commissioners at our monthly meeting. We meet the second Tuesday of every month. We have we have an annual field trip to schools. Last year, we went to Daniel Webster, MP Brown, and MH Tobias. And then this year, just right after spring break, we're going to be going to Susan B. Anthony, JFK, and TRP. And it gives us an opportunity to meet with classified personnel. They have a lot of questions for us. And so it gives them an opportunity to get out to the schools and myself to help facilitate that conversation. Maintaining an effective classification plan is just monitoring our compliance with the commission classification plan and compensation studies. Some school districts do reclassification studies where they look across multiple districts and see what the different salaries are, the comparable job descriptions, and then they update it. So that's something we haven't done probably since about 2012 or so. So that might be something. Often we'll get a request out of CSEA to have that conversation. And again, just applying the rules and regulations in a fair, consistent way. It's always important to be consistent because there's always that person that says, hey, wait, didn't you do that for so-and-so? And that's the thing about the Merritt District. It's using the rules as a guide for guidance, and just like you would a contract. And then we had a few years back a joint meeting with the governing board where we had our council come and speak a little more specifically to what is a personnel commission role, what is the board's roles, what are their mutual roles. So I drew a little of that for our presentation at the beginning, but if there is a time that you feel that you'd like to have a joint meeting, that's something we can do, or if you'd like more information in a future time, I can present that. So just some of our main highlights, obviously you can read that for yourself, but I think the top ones, we have 11 regular meetings, one special meeting last year. We had 25 job announcements. So a job announcement is usually when somebody resigns or retires. We have to post it. 22 eligibility lists were established, 29 regular appointments, 44 classified staff working during summer school. We had 6 employees that were promoted, 3 increased in hours, and then just some of the other data that comes, it's whole entity. And then we have over 20, I think it was 22 people that helped us with either panels or helping with testing and things like that. So I just have them all up there and I want to say thank you to them all. And I am available for any questions. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or comments from fellow trustees?
I have 2, if no one else does. Yeah. So mine are related. So I would actually, first of all, I was very
classified, I hope.
Yeah. So classified, I can't say it. Anyway, no, thank you for your presentation. Again, very informative. One of the parts that I was really interested in and actually really liked hearing about was classified opportunities for educational benefit. So I was actually wondering, my questions are related. So how many employees have historically taken advantage of the classified bachelor's/teaching credential incentive? And then how well advertised is that resource?
Sure. So we have just recently begun that process with Notre Dame and Reach University. So the folks we've had, Reach, I even have a conversation next week with them. So Notre Dame, we actually have a cohort. We're probably going to be getting started in the next couple of months. So it's with ourselves, sorry, get farther away from the mic. It's with ourselves in the high school district. So I think we have about 10 candidates. Of them, I believe there's at least 2 that are classified. Some are community members as well. And we have at least 1 certificated person that's working in preschool that is working to go get their multiple subject credential to teach TK, because TK requires the 24 ECE units. So we got between the 2 districts about 10. A majority of them are coming from our district. The other option, that Notre Dame, is you've got a bachelor's degree already. Reach is trying to get folks that either have an AA to get their bachelor's, or if they have no education post high school, to get a bachelor's as well. It's super affordable. One of the things, I think it's only going to be like $75 a month. It's an online platform, but what they're going to do, what's really neat, is they're asking that folks work a minimum of 15 hours a week in the classroom. So our 3-hour instructional assistants who work 15 hours a week in the classroom, they're the perfect target audience. It's not exclusively for instructional assistants. They want folks that are administrative assistants. They want folks that are custodians. But that's going to require those folks to either do time in a classroom or do after school. So we figured, let's start with the instructional assistants and build back from there. So we have a meeting next, I believe it's Thursday. So Jen LaRock, who works with the beginning teacher induction program and our summer school work, she's really been my partner in that. She really keeps me organized, gets the phone calls out and stuff. So she and I have been working on that. So I don't have a number for you, but I'll let you know when I do.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say, if you could keep us informed.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
That's super interesting. And that's would also, I think, be a great thing to advertise for our district for employees coming in would be, hey, if you're a classified employee, we offer this as a way to not only keep our employees, but to better them throughout their time here.
It's a great pipeline for teaching candidates.
Thank you very much for presenting on that.
Sure, thank you.
Trustee Rashma, did you have a question or comment?
Thank you for the presentation, Mr.
Sure.
Valenci. Thank you for the members of the commission who are here tonight. And I guess my question is just, what positions, classified positions, are proving to be the most difficult to fill? Where do you really hope to see more applications?
The 2 most, I guess, difficult, challenging positions. Maintenance tech, we have tested probably 8 times for the position and we've gotten maybe 1 or 2 people pass, so that's been extremely challenging. Maintenance and the growth classification is the special circumstance instructional assistants. For every one person I place, whether it even be a substitute or an actually person from the eligibility list, I get 4 to 5 more requests. Because as a new student comes in, as their needs are assessed, they have an IEP. So those are my 2 most challenging ones. And these oftentimes come in peaks. So you might get 3 people all of a sudden. Like right now I had 6 SKIA positions to fill. I'm still 1 or 2 people short, but those are definitely the 2. Okay.
Any further questions or comments from fellow trustees? I also would like to thank the Personnel Commission for being here tonight. And I know we're missing some, but just thank you for all the hard work that you've been doing. And thank you, obviously.
Sure.
Mr. Valenti, for this presentation. It was very thorough, and obviously for our new trustees trying to get an understanding of what the Personnel Commission does, it was really good. So
right.
I appreciate the presentation, and we will move on. The next item on the agenda is item 12A, other board policies and administrative regulations bylaw updates. The board will consider updating the travel conference guidelines, healthcare and emergencies, and the role of the board to include provisions for the district procedures and practices are changes. This was on our agenda last time. We had a ton of conversation. I had connected with Superintendent Vidalis to just ensure that it was more explicitly written, so that way when asked questions we could better find what we were looking for with regards to the I think it was taxis versus Ubers, and so that change was made. So if there are no questions or comments from fellow trustees, I will open it up for a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous. Moving on to item 13, persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment or address the board on any issues that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. Do we have any speaker cards this evening?
None tonight.
Awesome. Seeing as there's not, I'm going to close public comment and move to item 14, governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. And I am going to start on my right.
I'm not going to say too much. I really enjoyed all of the presentations tonight. Thank you to the speakers, especially the students. Very inspiring words, and I leave more informed and inspired. So thanks again.
I think we did a good job of keeping our focus on the best interests of our students, and I too enjoyed being able to see different students here being highlighted for different reasons. And yep, that's it.
Yeah, thank you to all of our presenters. Again, we're so fortunate to be serving a district and a community that values all of our classified staff so strongly on a merit-based system, which I think the government uses as well, which I really appreciate. It's and then our counseling services that supports our students. So, and then also just everyone who stayed here for the full meeting. Commends to you. Thank you.
And so in an effort to keep our remarks concise, I will not repeat anything that my board trustees have already said. And so I echo their sentiments. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
We do have somebody we'd like to close in memory of.
Well, geez, let me go back. The meeting is not adjourned.
Mr. Thomas Shea, is that not?
I was not provided that information.
Do you have it?
Is it?
I don't have it.